Thank you for tuning in to the Realty with T3. I'm Tesia Harris, the team leader of Texas Trio Team, and I'm here with some team members. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves for today's episode.
I'm Kendra Genches.
Hello, I'm Adrian Garcia.
And then we also have Mason here. So, hey, Mason, tell us about who you are, what you do.
Hey, what's going on? So, I've been in mortgage for about 21 years. Actually, not about 21 years and 3 months. And I keep that with me, and I remind myself because of how stressful the job is, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got fired from this job that I hated because 2 weeks later, I got in a mortgage and just love it. So I run the Revolution Mortgage here in Brenham.
And so we've had the honor of working with you. And, so sometimes these transactions that we're dealing with in today's market can be a little stressful. So do you have any insight of where you think the market's going to be like as we conclude 2024?
I don't know. We'll see how November goes. Every election year, it gets pretty slow between like September and October. But then the buying season ends in about December. Hopefully rates will get back down to where, they're in the mid sixes. Right now it's upper six, low sevens. So I tell people, don't worry about the rate, especially first time home buyers, because you can always change the loan. But homes are not going to get, and properties aren't going to get any cheaper. So you need to jump on it if you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So I've heard a saying, date the rate, marry the house. And that kind of ties into, do it now and then you can change the loan later. What does that look like? Like, what's the process on that?
So what we offer, and just about every other lender does, is that once rates get down and you refinance with us, you won't have any lender fees and you won't need an appraisal. So we're just waiting for that time to come because we're ready for it. And I tell people that are in lending, you still need to work your tail off now because you're working on your future refinance market. So whatever it takes to get the loan done, we're going to do. And I tell them if they're upset about the rate, the cost, I'm like, hey, we'll get you down to where you'll be here in about, say, half to a year from now. And you won't have a lot of closing costs. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be very satisfied with your new payment.
So I know in 2020, there were so many people that were refinancing, moving, relocating, and just taking advantage of all of the low interest rates. So looking, maybe the next couple months or even right now, is now a good time to refinance? Are you seeing that as a high priority?
Oh, no, not at all. And I have people call me because they want to get equity loans, and we can do a home equity line of credit, which is basically a second mortgage. I tell them we're not going to refinance your first and do a cash out because that would be dumb. And but we'll get them that home equity line of credit, and it's a heck of a lot better than using a credit card because the interest rate's cheaper, it compounds monthly, and then it's also tax deductible, whereas credit card interest compounds daily and you cannot write off that interest on your taxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you said you've been in the business for 21 years and 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
If you had
counting?
Yeah. If you had to take a guess, how many loans do you think you've closed in those 21 years?
Oh, geez.
Do you have it somewhere?
No, but I have a roundabout average. My low.
It's been a lot.
It'd be just over 16,000 loans.
Oh my gosh. You've helped a lot of people.
We try.
Out of those 16,000, do you have one that sticks out as one of your most memorable or favorite loans?
just about every difficult one is my favorite when it's done. But I've done loans for people that are famous, and especially when I worked at Countrywide Home Loans. So that was pretty cool. But really, there isn't one that sticks out. You know, after a loan is done, boom, we're on to the next one. And yes, some of these loans, when we get to closing, I'm so excited because it took so long to get there. And it took so long, not really the process of getting the mortgage done, underwritten. It took so long because maybe there was an issue with the property, title work, or the borrowers spent all their money, or they went and bought stuff they shouldn't have, and now their debt ratio is high. But yeah, so.
So looking back on those 21 years and 3 months that you've had, like, do you think that there's been things, even in the obviously challenges have been there? Like, is there anything that you had a breakthrough moment there and you made like changes to like where you are today that have made a significant impact?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I've tried different ways to run my business, even from the beginning. And I feel like, actually, I know it's relationships that helps get the jobs done. We don't run our business like an assembly line. I like to have a good relationship with the borrower, the referral partner, appraiser, surveyor, title company. The reason why is because those relationships are going to pay off in the end. And if you ever have a problem, I know who I can go to and trust to get their opinion and to see what to do next.
Yeah, because the guidelines change all the time. And so how often are you like reading into that and leaning into those relationships to get more details?
Yeah, so they change almost every week, and not all of them at once. You know, Fannie Mae may have one, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, USDA. And if there's anything that's dire that would affect approvals for loans, yes, I sometimes make a broadcast or send in emails saying, hey, this is what we're looking at now. But what I've seen lately are improvements to the underwriting guidelines so that we're not bogged down with getting so many documents to get these loans done.
Yeah. And so there was a period of time that a lot of listing agents were discouraging VA loans, even FHA loans, so why do you think that is?
So FHA, mainly if it's an older home and needs a lot of repair.
When you say older, what do you mean? Like how far back?
1978 prior.
Gotcha.
Just because of the lead paint. If there's peeling paint on the house, I mean, heck, it could be painted last year. They have to repaint it. And that's just the lead guidelines for houses built before then. I like FHA loans because they allow for a higher debt to income ratio and a lower credit score to get approval. And whenever I bought my house, it was on an FHA loan. Yes, your goal is to convert it to a conventional loan eventually, but it gets you in the house. And once you move in, I guarantee you're not going to think about this loan. And it happens all the time. VA loans, they're kind of the same as FHA prior to 1978. But I love those loans. They're the easiest loans to do. There's no down payment. Everything is streamlined. Once the refinance hits, all you have to do is sign new documents to lower the rate. That's it. You don't have to verify income, get an appraisal, and anything like that. It's just to lower the rate, just to keep those customers. USDA loans, realtors shy away mainly because they don't understand how they work. And yes, there's one extra step. You have to send the file to USDA to get them approve it. But that turn time is usually 48, 72 hours. And whenever we do a USDA loan, I inform the realtors, say, hey, we need to put the closing date between 30 to 45 days just in case. We can always close early, but I just wanted to set that expectation up front.
Yeah. And so, I mean, can't consumers or even realtors, they can just go on USDA and make sure a property is within the guidelines of a location, right?
They can, yeah, just Google USDA
.gov, right?
home map. I've got it saved on my bookmark, so I don't know the exact, but yeah, just Google USDA property eligibility and it'll take you to it.
Yeah. And so is there a lot of other guidelines besides like the location?
No, USDA is big on debt to income ratio. If you're not below 45%, it's probably not going to get approved. It's just there it was meant to be for rural communities who didn't have a lot of income, so they couldn't put a lot down. And so it was a loan for them. And but I've done it plenty of times, so I don't have any complaints about it to where I'm going to stay away from those. Nah, I love them.
Yeah. And I love in Texas, like for veterans, there's so many options. They can do the Texas Veteran Land Board, they can do their VA loan, and then, just keep maximizing, for their service.
Right. That Texas Veteran Land Board. So they'll do the financing for the land, but any lender can do the financing for their home purchase program. We go through Gateway Mortgage. That's who they have a contract with here in Texas that we deal with. And the biggest benefit with them is their discounted rates. You're still going to have an additional funding fee, which is 1%. And that's how they make their money. So usually I'll compare it to our rates and say maybe half a basis points higher than that 1% that they're charging. Well, I'm just going to do a lender credit to take care of the other one, because we can do those loans a lot faster through us than brokering it out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't realize that you can do just solely land loans. So could you give us a little insight? Like, what does that look like?
So the bank that we use for land loans, the minimum down payment is 35%, which is kind of high, especially compared to the local banks. So I'll tell them that. And if they don't have that amount to put down, well, then I'm going to refer them to a local bank. Yeah, I can't do every single loan that comes to me, but where we bank heavily on is doing the land loan and a construction loan at the same time. Because if it's a conventional loan, well, they can put down 5% on a construction loan, and no one does that. It's unheard of. I think the lowest you can get around here is about 15%. But that's a great, I'll tell the realtor, say, hey, they're going to build, right when we close or start, but give about 45, 60 days for that to go through, because they have to get soil samples and all that stuff with the builder. And we need to have a final budget to turn in so we know what to base the loan off of. We also offer FHA construction loans, and that down payment is 3.5%. We even do VA construction loans, 0% down payment. You do have closing costs, but you don't have to put 15, 20% down. So that's a big selling point, and that's what I push. I really don't push the land deal. I push the whole package and say if they're not going to build until a year or two from now, then that other bank, they'll do the loan, and I'll just keep up with those borrowers and wait till they're ready to do the construction, and then I'll come in and do the construction loan.
So it sounds like you're you're obviously very informed of what's going on with guidelines, all the types of loan programs. And so how about just your overall team and your business? Can you elaborate just about like your team and how long you've been working together?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for them, we would be talking right now.
Same here.
I have Hannah's our processor, and she's been with us for a little over 5 years. We have a great relationship, and we kind of know, or actually we know what each other's going to do. So that kind of makes it easy as far as like dealing with the issues. We just brought on 2 others. Kelsey, she started June 1st. She's a lending coordinator, and she's going to become a loan officer. And then we have our intern for the summer, Owen. And basically I wanted him because not only does he go to Texas Tech, I'm a Rhetoritor too, but I wanted him to get familiar of, the business atmosphere and how everything works, and, the great times and the stressful times. And we have Caitlin. She's my loan officer assistant. She's on a maternity leave right now, but we've been together for a little over 3.5 years, and she's kind of like my right-hand woman, when it comes to getting loans set up, running the office, setting up events that we have, and any type of marketing, she'll handle that. So I love them. Like I said, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here right now. And I always think that your operations team is basically the backbone of the business. Yes, I hit the streets to go get the business, but they keep that business coming with the relationships that we have, the knowledge to get these done quick, and also the knowledge to come up with solutions whenever there's an issue.
You started in a field that had nothing to do with lending, and then like you just kind of had signs that this was the path that you were going to be on. And so when you're looking at the newest member of your team that, you're showing him the ropes of everything, are there things that you're looking back on your past and kind of guiding him to potentially avoid those big mistakes you did?
Well, yeah, I didn't do any mistakes.
Whatever.
It's still making mistakes. It's human. But whenever I do an interview, I always tell them, the reason why I got into it, which was accidentally. And whenever I started, yes, I didn't know anything about mortgages. I was at Wells Fargo Financial. We did subprime loans, and they're very difficult at first, but then I started getting used to it and gaining more knowledge about how it works. And I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. I like this. So then I went and did mortgage exclusively at Countrywide Home Loans. And my first month review with my manager, I had 12 loans in process. And he said, Mason, awesome job. You got all these loans, but where are their documents? And I was like, what documents? It's like, you need to get pay stubs. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I was just sending out disclosures and they were signing them. And then the process.
So we were good to go.
Right. So I took a few steps back, and it took me a while to understand how everything worked, just because you don't do every single loan multiple times a year. USDA, it's a handful. VA loans, a lot more popular, but maybe between 10 and 20. FHA, probably about 30-40%, and then the rest is conventional, which has the easiest guidelines. But I'm still learning today. And I'll submit a loan, and the underwriter will say, hey, Mason, it just changed those guidelines. I'm like, oh, great. What? And then we'll just fix it and move on. So
if a guideline changes midway through a transaction, how does that work? Like the appraisal's done, everything's done.
Yeah. So if there is a guideline that changed lending rules, it applies for loans that originate after that certain date. So we had USDA construction loans, but the investor that we used pulled out of the market. So we were no longer offering that. However, the commitments we already made were getting worked out and getting booked. So yeah, it can affect something like that. That's already been, it's after the date of the change.
So those previous ones are kind of grandfathered in a sense. If
Right.
yeah. Okay. So, a lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, don't know anything about it. What advice would you give first-time home buyers to prepare to move forward?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a good one. I always tell younger people, I wish they taught about credit in high school. Heck, I wouldn't mind doing it. But there's so much that people do not know, young and older, about how credit works. So my deal with them is to establish credit by like getting a secured credit card, running a balance on it, paying it off every month, because that's going to help build that credit score. Also, they need to save money. I mean, I don't care if it's $20 a week. Save something, because then you're getting used to that. So then when you're ready to buy the home, you kind of like have a backup account in case something happened that you weren't prepared for. Like, say you move in and the refrigerator broke or the range broke and you don't have the money, then, you're, I want to say SOL, but I'll say SOL. But if you have that savings account on the side, it makes it a lot easier. Like, oh, dang it, we have to replace this, but hey, at least we have the money to do that. People get discouraged because they'll say, oh, I don't have any money for down payment. Well, that's fine, because first-time home buyers, there's loans that the state offers, which allows for down payment assistance up to 5% of the loan amount. So say it's an FHA loan, 3.5% is the minimum requirement down payment. Well, if they get the 5% down payment assistance, it takes care of that 3.5%, and the other 1.5% will go towards your closing costs. So there's programs for you to get homes. So, take care of your credit, save as much as you can, and then once you're ready to go, don't worry about down payment. We'll get that taken care of. There's so many ways to do these loans. For first-time home buyers, there's 19 different ones that we use. Total loans that we have are 186. So there's a home for them. If I can't get them in a loan today, then I'm going to set them up in a position to where they can 30, 60, 6 months from now.
So you're in for the long run, whether they're ready to do it now or in 6 months.
Yes, I always say, well, we got to eat 6 months from now. So that's why I don't want to lose that contact, because it's awesome, calling a realtor and say, hey, do you remember sending me so-and-so? Sometimes they don't remember. Like, great. Well, great news. They're ready to go. And they'll appreciate that. They'll appreciate that follow-up. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to lose them to another lender. It happens sometimes, nature of the business, but I'm going to try like heck to make sure it doesn't happen. And if it slips through the cracks, then I hate myself for it. And then I'll see what went wrong and just make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I've always had the mentality in this business that, if you take a day off or if you take, an extended period of time, because we're independent contractors, we can skip, work as much as we want. But I know if the things that I'm doing today, it's going to impact me in 30 days from now in a paycheck. And I know that you're super competitive too when it comes to being in the kind of business that we are. So where does that come from for you? Was that something you were just raised with, or?
No. Well, maybe. I can't remember how I was raised in 47.
Okay. That's the new 21.
But the deal that I like, it's not really the paycheck, it's the excitement that the borrowers
The
have.
adrenaline rush that you get.
And then knowing that I got this loan done, whereas other lenders couldn't. And the reason being is I'm always in tune about what's going on. I don't shy away from any deal. I don't care how difficult it is. We're going to take the 30, 60 days it takes to get it done. But it's all because I love saying in the end, hey, great news, you're cleared for closing. And that's kind of like, what's that called? Closure. And I love it. And everybody's happy, of course. Even if it was a tough road getting there, I mean, in the end, it always works out.
That was always the goal in the beginning, whenever you get into something like that. So you're not just a lender, you're a husband, you're a dad. So how do you balance between a busy work schedule and being a family man?
Yeah, it's tough. If I'm not working, then I'm doing stuff with the kids. But, I used to take my work well, and I didn't like that because I saw that I wasn't spending a lot of time with the kids, and they're young, but they're growing up fast, and I don't want to miss anything. So I go to work a little earlier, and I stay just a little bit longer. And I'm still able to get what I was able to get done whenever I brought the work home. So I just learned how to plan my day to capitalize on business and then family time.
All right. So what are some things and projects that you have upcoming for your business and for your team?
Well, we just had our ribbon cutting yesterday. So that was exciting doing that. It's been a long road because we've been here for 5 years and we want to get to the place of world, and we finally got a position that we were able to. So I'm excited about that. And other projects, well, bringing on new loan officers. I like to train them from start to finish because I know that if they excel, then I'll add a hand in it. But if they fail, I add a hand in it too. So that kind of keeps me on my toes as far as learning how to deal with the new market. I mean, our market now is millennials and Gen Z. So I always look to hire younger people because they have fresh ideas and they know the market that we're advertising to. People that I deal with that are, about 40 years old, they're getting their last home or they're upgrading, which doesn't happen often. So I always try to look for business in different areas. We like to have little events here and there or contests because that kind of makes the work exciting, something to look forward to. I don't want my people to come in and just like, oh, great, I'm here. And it's, sometimes it's like that because of stress or whatever, but overall, I want everybody to be happy at what they're doing. And because I love it, I know people are going to love it as much as I do, but I'll try to make it fun for them. And
So leadership, was that something that just kind of came naturally to you, or it was a struggle at the beginning?
Struggle at the beginning because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get people to trust me. And so that took a bit. I was whenever I was very insecure. And so I would look at other people that I worked for, see how they managed. And then I'll say, oh, that's pretty good. Or like, no, that's not great. This is how I would do it. So eventually I got my shot to running my own branch 2 years ago. And it's been the best ever. The reason being is we get to run the office how we see fit. And, we price our own loans. And everything comes out of that office. And we deal with the hiring, the firing, the programs that we adopt. And just having that control is awesome because I know the arsenal that we have to get people into homes and to, get people refinance and construction loans and build our relationships with our referral partners and keep them updated with what's going on.
Right. And so you're dealing with a really intense and probably chaotic schedule at times. And so what is your go-to like to keep your head on straight and, keep your mindset high?
I like playing with my pugs.
Tell us about your pug.
Yeah, I love them. They're precious. So, Lana, I love her a lot. She's a mini pug. She's a brown pug, which is very rare. And she's precious. I have Lily. She's a black pug. She's really cute. She has long legs and very hyper. She's still a puppy, about 1.5 years old. And then I have Betty. She's a sweetheart. She's 8 years old. And I got her after my first pug died, Pugsley. And
Ugly? Ugly. That's interesting.
yeah, I've always wanted an English bulldog when I was a kid. And then when I got to college, I went to this girl's house that my buddy was dating, and she had this black pug. I didn't even know what pugs were. And I was like, what kind of dog is this? I love it. And I was playing with him. She goes, oh, it's a pug. And I said, okay, if I ever get a dog, it's going to be a pug. And I've had 5 so far.
Oh, gosh.
My girlfriend in college, she gave me a beanie baby of a pug, and it was named Pugsley. So that's how I said, okay, first dog I get, I'm going to name her Pugsley.
Do you think you'll have any other kind of dog or just pugs? That's it.
If my kids want to live in my house,
And I know you said you wanted Texas Tech, but what was your degree in, or what were you studying for?
So I got my undergrad marketing, and I chose marketing because I love sales, and I like hanging out and stuff, interacting with other people. I went back and got my MBA in finance, and going back in finance gave me the confidence to where I could run a business myself. And so I'm glad I did that. I wasn't going to do it. I remember I got a postcard from Tech saying, hey, we started this new MBA program. And I told my wife about it. I was like, I probably wouldn't get in. So, and then I came home from work one day, and she left a card and a note on the counter saying, hey, I think you should try this. So I did, and I got in. I was excited. I couldn't believe it. I remember I got the email like at, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I went and woke Nikki up. I was like, you can't believe it. I got in.
That was spam, Mason.
Well, that's awesome. That's a really great story. Yeah, so, it made you think that degree made a big impact in where you are now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I know not everybody, they have to go to college. And there's people that I work with that didn't go to college, and they're very successful. My deal is I love learning. So that's the reason why I wanted to go. That's the reason why I love this business, because it's constant. You're always learning something new. It keeps it exciting.
And it's always different. There's nothing that's ever the same.
Oh, I know. Unless it's like a perfect loan. Which, those...
What percentile do you think that is?
We get excited, so that's how low it is.
1 in every 100, maybe?
Well, more than that. I would say maybe 2 a month.
So you have a lot of stress that you are going through on a regular basis.
Right. But what's stressful is if you don't know how to handle the problem. And I've been lucky enough and experienced enough to where I do. So the stress is not figuring out what to do. The stress is getting the borrower to do what they need to, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, because it's not just as easy as send your W-2 or your information and then you're good to go. It's a very complex process to get started.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So when you look back at the marketing, whenever you aged yourself not too long ago while we were sitting here, but when you're looking back at the marketing when you started that, are you seeing a vast difference in what you were educated on then where we are today?
Oh, yeah. So I never got into social media, but that's where all the business is now. So I've learned, my daughter's taught me about Instagram and how to work that.
I was hearing these words these kids are using these days, and
Some of the words in the slang they use now it's funny. Don't get me wrong, it's funny.
what words these kids are using?
I can imagine what it would be like then. Yeah, so I remember watching my usage. I'll log in with Verizon and be like, oh, I can't, do any more text messaging at this hour.
You have to wait till after 9.
Wait till 9.
And now I don't even look at it. I get a bill every month and I just hope it's right.
What are you utilizing as far as like innovations into your business these days that, weren't available 20 years ago?
Text message. A lot of people like the text message. Sometimes we'll have like a long conversation. I'm like, okay, I'm tired of texting. I'm just going to call. But I like texting because sometimes I'll go back and like, what was I going to do? And or what did they want? And so it helps remind me, like, I don't delete any text messages.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many unread ones I have. It's a lot. But yeah, text message, everything everybody likes to do. Some people, they like spreadsheets, so I'll do that. We have this program called Mortgage Coach, and what it does, it lines up different loans side by side so you can see where the benefits are and where they're not. So people like that, people that use that are like big into finance.
Yeah, the analytical folks that you're working with, yeah.
Right. So, but first-time home buyers, they love the text, and that's fine. It took some use to getting to, but I like it. And if something comes back on me, then I'll show the borrowers like, well, hey, this is what you wanted. So you remember that I've had to do that a lot of times. So that's a big save for me. And it's not like I'm saying, well, you said. I'm like, this is what you wanted, remember? And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, so much changes, in a day for a lot of folks. And so even like signing contracts, doing everything digitally and, disclosure agreements that you're doing, that wasn't probably a major thing 20 years ago. And so even like communications with clients via Zoom or whatever that looks like to be remote and you can be anywhere buying a property.
Oh, yeah, I can go on vacation and still do my job. I have a hard time disconnecting, but it's because I love it so much and I built it up. I don't want to lose it. But that's what's awesome about phones these days. It lets you multitask big time. Mm-hmm. And heck, I can do an application on my phone and review it. I've done that plenty of times, pre-approval letters, you go on vacation. But I love today's technology. It helps out the business greatly.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing that I wanted to touch on, going back to your ribbon cutting at your new location here in Brenham. So the loans that you do, do you strictly just cover Texas or are there other areas that you're able to cover?
I can do loans all over the United States. And I'm, licensed in Texas. I can do a loan in Brownsville all the way up to Amarillo. So, but most of my business is in the Houston and metro area. Out here, a lot of people are moving out of Houston to come out here. So I was like that when we do it almost 10 years ago. And I'll tell them our story and they're like, oh man, they'll like it. They'll appreciate it because, they know I'm not going to BS with them or it's like, oh, it's so great. I'll, tell them the bad stuff and which there really isn't except just limited places you can eat. Whereas Houston, heck, you go down 2 blocks, you pass 20 Mexican restaurants. So, but now I love it out here, and I focus, though, I'd probably say 250 miles radius from where we are, where most of my business comes from.
Okay.
Does a lot of your business come from referrals, or do they find you online, or what is?
Yeah, so I always look at my stats, and about 50% of it comes from referral partners, which are mainly realtors, and the other 50% is from client referrals. So my deal, and I always say this, and I mean it, is whenever I go to talk to a referral partner, I'm not going to go and beg for business. Say, why aren't you giving me anything? I don't like that. I'm big on establishing a great relationship and then knowing that I'm going to get the job done. And that's what moves me and makes me I don't want to lose what I built up. And I think it's great. I mean, heck, if my referral partner business, say it went down to 30% and then the rest is referrals from clients, that's awesome. So yeah.
Well, that says a lot about you and how you run your business of, depending on referrals. So we appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate everybody that I work with here in Brenham. I tell you, the realtors in this area are in Austin County, Colorado County, Fayette, are the nicest ones to work with. And I worked in Houston for many years and in Dallas when I first started. And it's a little bit different out there. I guess just because there's so many people, but out here it's so nice. I just can't believe how nice people are.
Yeah, I love it out here. It's like a Hallmark town is what I tell everybody. Like the parades and the camaraderie that's everywhere and just the events that they do for community out in these areas.
It's cool because, you take your kids to something and there's adults there that so you're really not going anywhere by yourself.
Right. So did you grow up like in Houston?
Yes, in Katy.
Yeah. Boy, that's changed a lot.
Yes, that's why we moved out here 10 years ago, because I saw it coming. And I'm third generation. I graduated from Katy High School. So my parents, they met at Katy High School. So do my grandparents. And but it used to be like how Belleville was today. And so I was kind of, I guess, disappointing. It's sad that it's not there anymore. But there are places that still have that small town feel, Brenham. And that's what I love is that people know who your kids are. So we're all going to watch out for each other's kids. And then we all know what they do that's bad. So we share that.
So where are you seeing like your team now that you're in a new location? How are you seeing things over the next year for, as far as growth?
Yeah. So I know that we're getting a lot more visibility than we used to, which is the main reason why we changed the locations. And I think I'm starting to get business from people who I haven't before because they walk past our office.
Right.
Like, oh, just past your office. And biggest deal about being in this business, self-employed, whether it's mortgage or real estate or whatever, is you always need to stay top of mind with people. And my deal, I tell the team, they need to see us either email, video, text messages, a post, so that every single week, so that whenever they do think about mortgage, they think about us. And something that we sent was just recent. And I know being there, especially when the market turns and rates are lowered, it's going to be crazy to say. And I'm ready for it. I'm excited. It's sooner than we think.
What are your thoughts? I mean, so with the projections that things are going to shift and the interest rates are going to go down, and for the people that are waiting to buy or even waiting to sell until that happens, like, do you have any advice on, telling them why it's not a good idea to wait?
Oh, yeah. So, especially younger people say, hey, yeah, if your parents are telling you the rates are high. Well, when your parents first bought their house, the rates were high. When I first got in this business, it was 7.5%, and I had no issues getting loan side. And plenty of people were buying. I tell them, do you want a house? Say yes. All right, we'll find it. Because the house today, a year from now, it will not be at this price. So the longer you wait, rates maybe go down, but the prices are going up. And so I kind of like canceled each other out. Or we just, built a house and our loan, the construction loan, and the rate is like 7.5. I haven't refinanced yet, and I'm not going into until rates start to turn. So I tell people, if I start to refinance, then you need to jump on it.
So I heard in your house that that was struck by lightning. Is that right?
Yes. I guess God was mad at me for one reason or another. I don't know. But yeah, that was crazy. And it just, we're on top of a hill. And I thought, after that happened, it's like thinking like, geez, what did I do wrong? And if anything, it will go wrong. And the deal was, you just brush it off and figure out a way to get around that. So it won't happen again. So we're going to get but I think that goes with everything. And, sometimes I question my job, like, man, should I get out of this? And because of the stress, but the next day I wake up and,
Still hungry for it to go get it, yeah.
It goes with everything.
Yeah, I have heard of just people recently just really struggling, like getting by it. And we're not talking just like minor things. It's like deep struggles and, and so a lot of people are hindered from buying a house or doing major things. And, I think it's just kind of funny whenever you notice it happening over and over and over, the problems, that you can just start laughing at it and then like, okay, what's next? Because it wouldn't be life wouldn't be worth living if those things weren't, in the way all the time. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought about this the other day. I can't stand negative people. And negative other law officers, people that I work with, underwriters, and this job, it's so stressful that you can't think about the bad things that don't happen. You got to think about what you can make happen. And I'll call, say, a realtor and, hey, we need to extend because of this problem, and that everybody's aware of. And they're like, oh man, they're probably not going to like that. See, right there, that sets me off because you already lost. And you can't go about your business thinking that way. And because if you think that way, then you're going to portray it whenever you go and talk to that person of what we need to do.
Well, I always say, like, I feel like in your career and probably ours, like, we're unlicensed psychologists a lot of times. And so we're getting all the emotions from everybody all the time and then collaborating with people like you. And it's hard.
Yeah, it's everybody is different. And so you think about that and just know that whenever I tell a borrower or a realtor this issue, I don't tell them until I have a solution. And that's when, hey, this is what happened. It sucks, but great news, this is how we're going to overcome it. And that's the way it needs to portray to the sellers or borrowers or other realtors, is that, it's a little hiccup, but we have a plan and we're going to get it done. So,
yeah.
So like a lot of those issues that you run in, like, can you take that and I guess, learn from it so it doesn't happen again, or is it all just crazy different scenarios for every loan?
Well, yeah, there's always say I've seen everything, but something new always happens. And what's crazy is that problem that you never heard of, if you go look in the underwriting guidelines for any ready to take, those guideline books are over 1,200 pages. That problem is in those guidelines. And I'm like, hey, how did they think of that?
Control S equals to the
existed. So, yeah, sometimes I'll mess up on something. You're like, dude, I should have done this, should have done that. And I changed it so it doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, but it's fixing them that, gets you past it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got a lot of grit in your business and, striving hard. And so as we wrap things up, where can people find you?
MasonDumas.com. You can apply for your purchase loan or do the refinance application. Also, you can call, text 713-249-3867. Email is mason@revolutionmortgage.com. And or just Google me.
Perfect. Do you have any closing remarks that you want to make or anything?
Yeah, don't be discouraged about whatever life hands you, because there's ways around it and eventually you'll overcome it. I always say don't make permanent solutions for temporary problems, whatever that may be, any relationship or whatever. And whether it be a work relationship or, how just, bad things do happen, and it's overcoming them that makes you feel relieved at the end.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it for a podcast.
Yeah. Yes. And we want to thank you for being so patient during technical difficulties that we had and everything. And so hopefully, we get this, and we just are so grateful for your business relationship with us as well.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Realty with T3. You can visit us at texastrioteam.com. All right. Living your best life and take care.